Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy, True Thought. Hopefully, you guys are doing well, having a good 2021 so far. Things are kind of crazy right now, politically and all that kind of good stuff, COVID wise. But what else is new, right? It's kind of been that way for a very long time. But hopefully, you guys are staying safe and just kind of doing what you got to do to keep yourself and your family safe, keep your loved ones safe through this time. Again, I'm your boy, True Thought. Um, I really wanted to come in. I wanted to make this video probably last week. And this is my first like really live attempt to do something live here. So I'm just going to make it live. Whoever jumps on, please, by all means, make sure you drop something in the chat, comment, or what have you. And if you have questions, you have comments, I'll respond to those live. But I wanted to make this video probably last week. But emotions were so high, information was so it was brand new. And so what I try to do is now, before I put out something, I want to make sure I have all the facts. I want to make sure I processed and I know how I feel about a certain topic, how I feel about a certain subject. So that way I can just kind of give you where I'm coming from. And so that's what I want to do with this. So we know January the 6th, there was the Stop the Steal rally. Essentially, pro-Trump supporters who believe that the election was stolen, who believe that there was a conspiracy to steal the election from President Trump so that Joe Biden could win. They had a rally in Washington, D.C. I am a firm believer in the First Amendment rights, so I don't begrudge anybody, whether I agree with them or disagree with them, of them exercising their First Amendment right to voice what it is that they believe. At the rally, they had speakers. President Trump was one. Rudy Giuliani was another. They had a couple of other Republican politicians to come and speak, and just to, I guess, share their opinions. And then afterwards, that rally moved towards the Capitol building. And I think that's where, we started to see things turn. Even before them, but let me just kind of back up it. Even before they got to the Capitol building, the imagery is pretty telling. Confederate flags flying, different people with different types of paraphernalia. That really harkens back to a time or to periods of hatred and things of that nature was clearly visible. Again, whether you're conservative or not, it doesn't matter to me. I don't begrudge anybody being what they are. I don't begrudge anybody's political angles, because we all have our own political angles. But some of the images that were there were pretty disturbing. But then that rally again starts moving towards the Capitol building, and this is where things really start taking a dark turn. We've seen the videos of some U.S. Capitol Police opening up barricades so that the protesters can get to the Capitol building. We have seen some video of the U.S. Capitol Police, taking selfies with the protesters turned rioters once inside of the building. But no matter what your political persuasion is, I don't know that there's any excusing what we saw, because what we saw were people who decided that democracy and that the symbols of our democracy were no longer important. We saw people who bought into a lie. Either they bought into a lie or they just use that lie as a mechanism or as a vehicle to push forth their hate. We saw people trying to laying siege to the Capitol building. They busted windows, they broke through doors. In total, 5 people were murdered or were killed. I think one U.S. Capitol Police officer, if I'm not mistaken, committed suicide after the fact. So he was not murdered. But we have a young lady who was killed, who was a part of the crowd. She was shot by a U.S. Capitol Police officer. We have another lady who was trampled by the crowd that she was rallying with. And in the aftermath, it was complete mayhem. There are reports, and there are images of some of the rioters with zip tie handcuffs. There are videos of them, going to different politicians' offices, really in search of those politicians, which is where the danger is. Because what would have happened if they had found those politicians? What would happen if they had found politicians they didn't agree with? What would they have done? What were they prepared to do? Some of them were concealed carrying. Um, they have found bullet holes in some walls. They found feces being spread over walls. Things have been stolen. All that kind of good stuff. All that kind of stuff. It was ridiculous. It was crazy. We saw them descending on the floor, sitting in Vice President Pence's chair, just completely making an absolute mockery of not only the democratic process, but democracy itself. I've heard some people refer to them as being patriots, as being heroes. To me, they're not either one of those. Uh, that is not patriotic. That is not heroic. What it is it's a movement that's fueled by hatred. It's a movement that doesn't really care about the fellow American. It cares about itself, and that's not the way towards unity. I made a video not too long ago, maybe a couple of months ago, just calling for unity in the country. No, we have become so polarized in what we do and how we do politically, um, that we're as divided as I've ever seen us in my lifetime. Now, clearly, again, we fought a whole civil war, so clearly there was a level of division that was experienced in this country that we haven't arrived to yet. But I don't want us to ever get back to that point where we're fighting an actual war inside of the country. Um, and it's easy for people to blame this on media, because I've heard that a lot. I've heard a lot of people blame the media for stoking the fires, right? I hear people on the left accusing right-wing media of stoking fires. I hear people on the right accusing left-wing media of stoking the fires. And I think it completely misses the point. This really it starts and stops with us, the citizens. It's time out that we just take someone's word for it. Too many times you meet people and you'll find that their sole source of information is coming from a media source that makes money from viewership 24/7. And the only way a news media can make money 24/7 is to give you the content that you want. And so they're looking to see, what is it that you actually want. So if you have media that is pushing conspiracy theory, they're pushing it because they have a large audience that's soaking it up. Um, and so we really have to look at ourselves as citizens and say, are we just going to remain lazy to the point where we don't do any research, to the point where we don't talk to our own neighbors, talk to someone who doesn't believe the same thing that we believe in, and let's no let's actually figure this thing out together. There's no side that has a monopoly on the truth. So I'll never argue that. I will never argue that Democrats or that Republicans are more righteous than the other. They all have bad histories. As a black man, no, I have grown up in this country as a black man, and my parents and grandparents and great grandparents, and the stories are the same. At every point in our place, at our time here in this country, we have been at one point or another used or abused by either one of those parties. Um, and so I'm not here to argue one party over the other. I am here to implore us as citizens to really look at ourselves and say, what responsibility do we have to learn the truth from credible sources, and to hold our politicians accountable, not just for doing what one part of the country wants them to do, but for doing what's actually best for the country. As long as we're buying into this tribalism within our country, then politicians are going to use that for their own gain. They're going to use that to get elections, or to win elections, to maintain power. And the way they maintain power is by pulling us all in together. And so, going back to the January 6th riots, politicians have something to to add to that, right? I mean, they have benefited from this division that we have. And so we've seen that over the years that, really this almost inevitable moment has been aided by rhetoric from our political leaders. It's been aided by the inability of our political leaders to do their jobs and work together for the good of this country. And that's, again, that's unfortunate. Um, and so there are a lot of levels to this that have to be addressed politically, from the citizens ourselves, media as well, right? It's not all on the media. We have to hold our media accountable for reporting the truth. We have to hold ourselves accountable for actually researching and finding the truth. And we have to hold our political leaders accountable for taking the truth and actually enacting some change, right? That's good for the whole country. So I'm interested to hear what you all have to say about the January 6th riots. What are your opinions and why? What do you feel and why do you feel that way? Um, so again, leave me some comments in the comment section. I look forward to hearing from you guys. Until then, take care.